Chioma wiped the sweat from her forehead and checked her phone. The prenatal exercise class had just ended. Around her, other pregnant women were gathering their yoga mats and water bottles, chatting about baby names and nursery colors. She smiled, placing a hand on her small belly. She was 2 months pregnant, but already she felt the weight of this new life growing inside her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sam. Emergency surgery just came in. Can't pick you up, sweetheart. I'm so sorry, honey, I promised to make it up to. Please book a taxi home? I'll be home as soon as I can. I love you. Chioma's smile faded slightly, but she understood him. Sam was chief of cardiothoracic surgery. Emergencies didn't wait for convenient timing. She texted back a heart emoji and opened the taxi app on her phone, booking a taxi. The app showed a 20-minute wait. She sighed, shouldering her gym bag. 20 minutes wasn't terrible. She could wait outside where the air was cooler. But before she could even step through the doors, a car pulled up directly in front of the building. A taxi. Dark sedan. Clean. The driver wore a face cap pulled low and a medical mask covering most of his face. Chioma hesitated. She just booked the ride less than 2 minutes ago. How had a driver arrived so quickly? Maybe the company sent someone who was already nearby, she thought to herself. It happens sometimes. She opened the back door and slid inside. Hi, from the taxi company? The driver didn't respond. Didn't even turn around. Just nodded once and started driving. Chioma frowned but pulled out her phone to check the ride details. Driver name tallied with his tag that was hung over the front rear view mirror. Everything seemed to match. She relaxed slightly, settling into the seat, relaxing her muscles. Welcome to Miss Afro-Korean Stories. Where are you watching from? Drop your location and time in the comments below. And if you're joining the channel family today, don't forget to smash that subscribe and like button. Quick note, this is part 2. If you missed part 1, check the description or pinned comment for the link. You'll want to see how this all started. What happens next will show you how a simple taxi ride becomes every woman's worst nightmare. Stay till the end because the twist will leave you speechless. Now let's get back to it. I'm going to Westview Gardens. Do you know the area? Chioma asked. Still no response came. The driver kept his eyes forward, his hands gripped tightly on the steering wheel. Something about the way he sat made her uneasy, like he was holding his breath. Excuse me. Chioma leaned forward, tapping his shoulder. Did you hear me? Westview Gardens. That's my destination. The driver took a left turn, away from the road that leads to her neighborhood. Chioma's stomach dropped. Wait. That's the wrong way, mister. You need to go straight, not left. But silence sent a terrifying chill across her spine. Sir, you're going the wrong direction. Her voice rose. This isn't the way to my home, she said, fear curling up in her. The car accelerated higher. Buildings she didn't recognize flew past the window. Her heart started pounding. She grabbed the door handle but it was locked. Let me out. Stop the car right now. She yelled at the top of her voice. The driver slowed down his ride and pulled down his mask. Then he turned his head just enough for her to see his face in the rearview mirror. Gray eyes met hers. It was cold, furious and void of any emphatic emotions. Chioma's scream died in her throat. No, Gray, what are you doing? Let me out. She squeaked out loud. You thought you could ruin my life and just walk away like that? Gray's voice was calm, like he'd been practicing this speech for weeks. You destroyed everything I had. You destroyed my job, my future. And now you're living happily with him? Playing house with his daughter? And even pregnant with his baby? Gray uttered, his voice filled with disgust. Gray, please, I'm pregnant. Think about what you're doing. Chioma tried scouting him to stop, but her words fell on deaf ears. I've had 3 months to think about it. He turned his attention back to the road, speeding through a yellow light. 3 months of watching you smile, watching you hold that little girl's hand, watching you build a life that should have been mine. Chioma's hand shook as she fumbled for her phone in her bag, so she could text Sam, or maybe call the police. Anything to save herself. But Gray reflex was faster. His hand reached back and snatched her entire bag from her lap. Looking for this? He threw it into the front passenger seat. You won't need it where we're going. Gray said, angry. Where are you taking me? Chioma asked, her voice tugged with anxiety. Somewhere we can talk. Just you and me. The way it always should have been. He pulled something from under his seat. A small canister. Medical grade. The kind used for sedation in hospitals. Chioma's training as a doctor kicked in immediately. She recognized the equipment. Knew exactly what he was planning. Gray, don't. The baby. Sedation could hurt the baby. Then you'd better hold very still. He pressed a button. Gas began hissing into the back seat through the air vents. Chioma threw herself against the door, pounding on the window. Help! Someone help me! But they were on a deserted stretch of road now. Just industrial area. Warehouses and empty lots. No pedestrians. No other cars were seen in sight. She tried to hold her breath, but her lungs were already burning from the exercises class. The edges of her vision started blurring slowly. She thought of Sam, of Hannah waiting to be picked up from school by her, of the tiny life growing inside her that might not survive whatever Gray had planned. Sam, she whispered. Hannah. The baby. Then in a daze everything went black before her eyes. When Chioma opened her eyes again, she felt in a different world. The smell of mold and rust filled her nose instantly. She was lying on a mattress in a room that looked like it had been abandoned for years. Broken glass windows. Empty food cans scattered across the floor. A single bulb hanging from the ceiling provided weak, flickering light. She tried to sit up. Her wrists weren't tied, but her whole body ached. How long had she been unconscious? An hour? Or 2? Or maybe more? She touched her stomach carefully, checking for any pain, any signs that something was wrong with the baby. But nothing. Just the usual slight tenderness. She almost cried with relief. The door was across the room. Old. Wooden. She stumbled toward it and grabbed the handle. Locked from the outside. She pounded on it with both fists. Gray. Let me out. Please, I need to get to a hospital. I need to. You're not going anywhere. His voice came from the other side. Close. Like he'd been waiting there the whole time. Gray, listen to me. I'm a doctor. You sedated a pregnant woman without knowing the dosage. Without monitoring vitals. I could miscarry. The baby could die. Is that what you want? What do I want? He laughed. The sound was bitter. Broken. What I wanted was one night with you. Just one. I wanted you to see me. But you couldn't even give me that, could you? He asked from outside. Chioma pressed her forehead against the door. Tears were streaming down her face now. There are other women out there, Gray. Women who would want to be with you. But I'm engaged. I'm pregnant. I love Sam. I love Hannah. Please just let me go. No. The word was final. Absolute. If I can't have you, then no one will. Footsteps echoed away from the door. Gray was leaving. Going back downstairs. Chioma slid down against the wood and wrapped her arms around her knees. She needed to think. Needed to find a way out before Gray decided talking wasn't enough. The window. She forced herself to stand and cross to the tiny opening in the wall. It was barely large enough for a child to squeeze through it, talking much of her. Bars on the outside. Rusted but still very solid. She tried pushing against them anyway. They didn't budge. Outside, she could see nothing but empty lots and the skeletal frames of abandoned buildings. No houses in sight. No cars passing. No people walking. Wherever Gray had taken her, it was far from anyone who could help her, not reach her. She turned back to survey the room, looking for anything she could use. A weapon. A tool. Just anything strong to smash a door. But there was nothing except trash and that flickering bulb overhead. Her medical training screamed at her to stay calm. Panic used oxygen. Raised blood pressure. Put stress on the baby. The baby. She placed both hands on her stomach again. I'm going to get us out of here, she whispered. I promise. She affirmed. Hours crawled by. Or maybe it was just minutes. But it felt like hours. Time felt warped in this place. Chioma tried the door 17 times. Counted each attempt to keep her mind focused. 17 times it stayed locked. She screamed until her throat went raw and dry. Pounded until her fists were bruised. But nothing changed. Then her stomach growled. It was painful. She hadn't eaten since breakfast. That felt like a lifetime ago now. Sam could be making pancakes now if she was home. Hannah will be asking if the baby could have chocolate milk when it was born. All of them laughing out loud and building in the memories. Were they looking for her yet? Did Sam know she was missing? The answer came faster than she expected. Footsteps on the stairs again. But this time they were in a hurry. Like angry steps. The door flew open and Gray stood there with his phone in one hand. Your precious doctor is smarter than I thought. He held up the screen. A news alert. Missing person report filed. Dr. Chioma Okafor. Last seen leaving prenatal exercise class. Police asking for information. Chioma's heart leapt. Sam had reported it. He was looking for her. He went to the police already? Gray's face twisted with rage. It hasn't even been 12 hours. They're not supposed to investigate for 24 hours. He's chief of surgery, Chioma said. Her voice was hoarse but steady. He has connections that you could ever think. You won't get away with this, Gray. I promise you, she said. Won't I? He stepped into the room. Closer. Because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to call him. Give him a choice. He makes a public statement saying he attacked me. Says the security footage was fake. Gets my IT certifications reinstated. Transfers money into my account. Or you die here. You and that baby you're so worried about. He said, with a sly smile brushing across his lips. Chioma's blood went cold. He'll never do that. There's evidence that proves you are the culprit. He'll do it if he wants to see you alive again. Gray pulled out a burner phone. His fingers began dialing. Let's find out exactly how much you mean to him, he said cunningly. Meanwhile, across the city, Sam was pacing in the hospital parking garage aiming for his car. The same spot where he'd saved Chioma a month ago. The same spot where this nightmare had started. His phone was pressed against his ear. Ringing. No answer. He'd called Chioma's number uncountable times in the past 6 hours. Every call went straight to voicemail. The school had called 3 hours ago. That Hannah was the only student left in school premises. No one had picked her up. That's when Sam knew something must have gone wrong. Chioma would never forget Hannah. Never leave her waiting. Not unless something had stopped her. He'd driven to the prenatal class. Asked the instructor. She'd seen Chioma leave. Saw her get into a taxi. That was the last anyone had seen of her. Sam had filed the missing persons report immediately. Used every connection he had to bypass the 24-hour waiting period. Now half the police force was looking for her. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't fast enough. His phone rang. It was an unknown number. Sam answered before the first ring finished. Chioma. He called out with a bright, worrisome voice. Try again. Gray's voice came through the other call end, smuggled tone. Sam's hand tightened so hard around the phone. Where is she? He asked. She is safe for now. You want to hear her voice? Rustling sounds. Then Chioma's voice came through. Weak. Terrified. But alive. Sam, don't listen to him. Don't do what he. Crash. Chioma's scream. Then Gray was back. That's enough sweet talk. Here's the deal, Dr. Leawood. Tomorrow morning. Press conference. You're going to tell every camera in this city that you attacked me at the parking garage. That the footage was manipulated by you to safeguard your medical license. That I'm the victim here. There's video evidence of you assaulting her. Sam said curtly. Then say it was edited. Say whatever you need to say. I just don't care. Gray's voice dropped lower. Dangerous. And you're going to use your connections to get my medical IT certifications reinstated. Every single one. Plus a wire transfer. $200,000. I've earned it after what you did to my life. Sam's mind was racing. Calculating. Looking for an angle. Any angle. And if I do all that, you'll release her? Maybe. If you do it right. If you convince everyone. If you make me believe you're not trying to trick me. Let me talk to her again. I need to know she's okay. That the baby is okay. The baby. Gray laughed. It felt cold and empty. You're worried about a baby that shouldn't even exist. She should have been mine. We should have had that baby. But no. She chose you. She chose your dead wife's daughter over me. She chose a life I could have given her if she'd just given me one chance. You're insane, Gray, Sam yelled. No. I'm desperate. There's a difference. Gray's breathing was heavier now. You have 48 hours. Make the statement. Transfer the money. Or I'll make sure you never see her again. Not her. Not your precious unborn child. I'll take from you exactly what you took from me. Everything single thing. The line went dead immediately. Sam stood there for 10 seconds. Phone still pressed against his ear. Every instinct screaming at him to find Gray. To tear this city apart until he found where Gray was hiding Chioma. But he couldn't do this alone. He needed help. He scrolled through his contacts. Found the number he was looking for. Detective Park that worked in the cybercrimes unit. They'd worked together 2 years ago on a hospital data breach case. She was smart, relentless and very determined. Exactly who he needed right now. She answered on the second ring. Dr. Leawood? I need your help. Someone took Chioma. I just got a ransom call. I need to trace it. I need to find her before. His voice broke. Before it's too late. He managed to say, calming himself from breaking down. I'm already on it, Detective Park said. Your missing persons report got flagged in our system. Gray Morrison. We've been tracking him since he was released on bail. Where are you right now? Hospital parking garage. Stay in hospital. I will be there in 10 minutes. Detective Park arrived in an unmarked sedan. She was younger than Sam, dressed in a sharp, well-tailored brown suit. Her eyes looked sharp. She carried a laptop bag and moved like someone who was ready to pull down the city in a swift. Tell me everything, she said, sliding into the passenger seat of Sam's car. Sam's mind swelled with thought as he sat in the hospital waiting lobby. Gray's demand, the 48-hour deadline given to him, the threat against Chioma and the baby, wondering if they are both okay. Detective Park placed her laptop on the table. Sitting on the seat across the table Sam sat on, opened her laptop and began typing notes as he spoke to her, her expression never changing as her fingers danced across the keyboards. He's using burner phones, she said. But even burners leave traces. Cell towers. Location pings. We can narrow down his general area. How long will that take? Sam asked hastily. Depends on how often he calls you. She looked up from her laptop. Which is why you need to keep him talking. The longer he stays on the line, the better our chances of pinpointing his location, Detective Park said. Sam's jaw clenched. He wants me to make a public statement, destroy my reputation, lie about what happened in that parking garage, knowing he is guilty of everything that happened to him. If that's what he wants, then that's exactly what you're going to give to him. What? Sam asked with upheaved brow tinged with shock and curiosity. Detective Park's expression was calm. You're going to schedule a press conference for tomorrow morning. Tell Gray you'll do everything he asks, but you won't actually say what he wants you to say. I don't understand. Sam said confusingly. You're going to tell the truth. On live television. While Gray is watching. She turned the laptop toward him. A map of the city filled the screen. And while you're talking, we'll have every available unit positioned around the areas where his phone signals have pinged. The second he realizes you've double-crossed him, he'll panic. Make mistakes. And we'll be ready, Detective Park said. Sam stared at the map on the laptop screen. The red circles marked possible locations of Gray. The abandoned warehouses. Industrial zones. Places where someone could hide a person without being noticed. There were at least 20 potential sites. What if he kills her before you find her? He won't. Detective Park's voice was certain. Gray Morrison isn't a killer. He's an obsessive man. He wants Chioma to choose him. To see him. To acknowledge him. If he wanted her dead, she'd already be dead. He's keeping her alive because he still believes there's a chance she'll change her mind. That's insane. Sam said. Yes, but it's also predictable. Which gives us an advantage. She closed the laptop. Go home. Get some rest. Tomorrow morning we make him think he's won. Then we take him down. Sam didn't go home. He couldn't. Instead, he drove to his parents' house where Hannah was staying. His mother opened the door, worry etched across her face. Any news about her? She asked in a worried voice. Sam shook his head. Not yet. Can I see Hannah? She's sleeping already. She cried for 2 hours asking where Chioma was. His mother's voice softened. What are you going to tell her? The truth. That Chioma had an emergency. That she'll be home soon. The lies tasted bitter. But he couldn't tell a 6-year-old little girl that the woman she loved like a mother had been kidnapped. That she might not come home at all. He went upstairs to Hannah's room. She was curled up under butterfly print blankets, her favorite stuffed animal clutched against her chest. Sam sat on the edge of the bed and brushed hair away from her forehead. I promise, he whispered. I'm bringing her home. I'm bringing both of them home. He softly plants a kiss on her forehead. Back at the warehouse, Chioma had stopped counting the hours. Time meant nothing here. Gray had brought her water and stale bread hours ago. She'd forced herself to eat despite the nausea. The baby needed nutrients, not starch. She needed to stay strong for Hannah. She was lying on the mattress, one hand on her stomach, when she heard footsteps again. But this time they were different. Slower. Hesitant. The door opened and Gray stood there with his phone. He agreed, Gray said. His voice was strange. Almost disappointed. Your precious doctor agreed to everything. Press conference tomorrow morning. He's going to tell the world he attacked me. That I'm the victim. Chioma sat up slowly. He'll never actually do it. Won't he? Gray held up the phone. Text messages filled the screen. Confirmation from the hospital. Press conference scheduled for 9 a.m. Media invited. Looks pretty real to me. Sam is smarter than you think. Then why did he agree so quickly? Why didn't he fight back? Argue? Threaten me? Gray's expression shifted. Uncertain. Like he'd expected more resistance. Maybe he really does love you. Maybe he's actually willing to destroy his career to save you. Gray grinned. Chioma's chest ached at the thought of it. Sam wouldn't do that. He'd spent 20 years building his reputation, his career. He wouldn't throw it all away like that. Not even for her. Would he? She muttered in her mind. What happens after the press conference? She asked quietly. You go free. I get my money, my certifications, and I disappear. Start over somewhere new. Gray leaned against the doorframe. That's all I wanted from the beginning. A fresh start. But you took that from me. I didn't do anything to you, Gray. I treated you like a human being. Gave you medical advice when you asked. Smiled at you in the hallways. That's called being professional. Not leading someone on. You knew how I felt. No, I didn't. Because you never said anything until it was too late. Until you'd already built this entire fantasy in your head about us. And even tried to attack me. Chioma's voice cracked. I'm sorry you lost your job. Sorry your life fell apart. But that's not my fault. That's not something I owe you. You are the one who damaged your life because of your obsession. Gray's face hardened. You owe me everything. And tomorrow morning, your doctor is going to pay the debt you created. He slammed the door, locked it. Footsteps disappeared down the stairs. Chioma pressed both hands against her stomach. Your father is coming, she whispered. He's going to find us. I know he is. The next morning arrived too quickly. Sam stood in front of the bathroom mirror at 5 a.m., trying to knot his tie with shaking hands. He'd slept maybe an hour. Nightmares filled with Chioma's screams. Gray's laughter. The sound of a baby crying. His phone buzzed. Detective Park. Units in position. Tracking equipment is all ready. Stay on the script we talked about until we give the signal. Another text. This one was from Gray. I'm watching. Don't try anything stupid. The message read. Sam pocketed his phone and headed to the hospital. The press conference room was already filled with cameras. Reporters. Hospital administration looked confused about why this emergency meeting had been called. Sam had told them there was important information about a recent incident. Nothing more. He stepped up to the podium at exactly 9 a.m. Cameras focused on him. Microphones went live. Somewhere in the city, Gray was watching, waiting, expecting Sam to destroy himself on national television. Sam gripped the edges of the podium, took a breath, and began to speak. I'm here to make a statement about an incident that occurred a few months ago in the hospital parking garage. Most of you might have heard about it, he said. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was Gray. He swiped his hand across the screen, connecting the call. Gray was listening, making sure Sam followed the script. Sam continued. There was video evidence presented, a physical altercation, but there are aspects of that situation that need clarification. In the back of the room, Detective Park stood with her laptop open, tracking Gray's phone signal. As soon as Sam connected the call, Sam's voice stayed steady. The man involved in that incident was Gray Morrison, former IT specialist at this hospital. And I need everyone to know. He paused, looked directly into the main camera, that he is watching this broadcast right now from an abandoned warehouse somewhere in this city. The room erupted, reporters shouting questions. Hospital staff were confused, but Sam kept talking, louder now. Gray Morrison kidnapped Dr. Chioma Okafor 24 hours ago. She is 2 months pregnant. She is being held against her will. And if anyone has information about his whereabouts, contact the police immediately. His phone exploded with Gray's scream. His threatens. Sam ignored it. Detective Park was already moving. Phone pressed to her ear, coordinating with units across the city to track the call. Soon they had him. His location beeping bright red on the screen. Gray clattered his phone to the floor. He stared at the clattered phone in disbelief. Sam wasn't following the script. He was exposing everything. Photos Gray had sent. No. No, no, no. Gray yelled, his hand molded into a fist hitting the wall. He'd been tricked. They were tracking him right now. Police were probably already on their way to the hideout. He ran upstairs, burst through the door where Chioma was locked. She was standing by the window, eyes wide staring at him. You think he's smart? Gray grabbed her arm, yanked her toward the door. You think he beat me? Gray, please. If I can't have you, nobody will. He dragged her down the stairs. Chioma fought back, twisting in his grip. Her medical training told her to protect her stomach at all costs. She couldn't fall, couldn't let him hurt the baby. Suddenly, the sound of tires screeching outside. Car doors slamming. Voices shouting. Police. The building is surrounded. Gray froze. His grip on Chioma loosened for just a second. That was all she needed. She wrenched herself free and ran toward the back of the warehouse. But there was nowhere to go. No exit. Just walls. The front door exploded inward. Officers flooded in, and behind them was Sam. His eyes scanned frantically until they landed on her. Chioma. Gray lunged. Not at the police. At Chioma. One last desperate attempt to take something from the man who destroyed his life. But Sam was faster. He tackled Gray with the same fast athletic technique he'd used in the parking garage that very day. They crashed into the concrete floor. Gray fought back. He unhinged. But Sam was fighting for everything he loved. Officers swarmed them, pulled Sam off, handcuffed Gray while he screamed obscenities, empty threats, empty promises of revenge. Sam didn't look at him. He ran to Chioma, caught her as her legs gave out. The baby, she gasped. Sam, is the baby. Ambulance is outside. We're getting you checked right now. His hands were gentle, checking her pulse, her breathing even as tears streamed down his face. You're safe. You're both safe, he said. Chioma collapsed against his chest, sobbing and shaking. I thought I'd never see you again. Never see Hannah. Never. Shoo. I've got you. I've always got you. Police dragged Gray past them. He was still yelling. still fighting the handcuffs around his wrist. Detective Park stepped forward and looked him dead in the eyes. Gray Morrison, you're under arrest for kidnapping, assault, stalking, and attempted murder. You're done this time around. No escape, Detective Park said as the cops took him away. At the hospital, an ultrasound technician moved the wand slowly across Chioma's belly. The room was silent. Sam held her hand so tight, waiting as he whispered prayers underneath his breath. Then a sound. Fast, strong, steady. The baby's heartbeat. The technician smiled. Heartbeat is perfect. No signs of distress. Baby is completely healthy, he said, turning to Sam with a smile. Chioma and Sam both broke down, relief flooding through them like a dam breaking. Sam pressed his forehead against hers and whispered thank you over and over. His heart limps with in-depth gratitude. 1 week later, Sam brought Chioma home. Hannah was waiting on the front steps, bouncing with excitement. The second the car stopped, she ran over and threw her arms around Chioma's waist. You're back. You're really back, she shouted in excitement. Tiny tears prickled across her cheeks. Chioma knelt down carefully, hugged her tight. I'm not going anywhere, sweetheart. I promise. That evening they sat in the garden together. The sun was setting. Golden light filtered through the trees. Hannah was playing with bubbles nearby. Sam brought out tea and sat beside Chioma on the bench. I have something to ask you, he said quietly. Chioma turned to look at him. He was holding a small velvet box. I've loved you since the day you saved Hannah's life. I've spent a few months making sure you were safe, protected, happy. He opened the box. A simple diamond ring. Beautiful. Perfect. And I want to spend the rest of my life doing exactly that. Chioma, will you marry me? I know it took me so long to say this, but now I don't want to hesitate anymore. I want to do forever with you, Sam said, his eyes staring intently as Chioma's already teary eyes. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Hannah squealed and ran over to them. Does this mean she is staying forever? Sam laughed. Forever, baby girl. 4 months passed in a blur of wedding planning and doctor appointments. Chioma's belly grew. The baby kicked. And their life slowly returned to normal. Gray was sentenced to 15 years in prison. No bail. No appeals. Just consequences for the choices he'd made. The wedding was quite small but a luxurious one. Just family and a few close friends. Chioma wore a flowing dress that accommodated her 6-month belly, still making her look snatched. She'd never looked more beautiful. Hannah was the flower girl, scattering petals and giggling the entire time the vows were exchanged. When Sam slipped the ring onto Chioma's finger, he whispered, I will protect you every day for the rest of our lives. I know, she whispered back. 3 months after the wedding, Chioma went into labor. 3 hours of contractions. Sam never left her side all the whole. He held her hand all through every wave of pain spanked through her body, reminded her to breathe, to trust her body. And then a cry filled the whole labor room. It was loud, strong, and a healthy cry. The nurse placed the baby in Chioma's arms. It was a boy. Tiny little fingers and toes. A tuft of dark hair. Kai, Sam said softly. His name is Kai. Hannah was allowed in shortly after. She tiptoed to the bedside and stared at her baby brother with wide eyes. He's so tiny, she whispered. You were this tiny once, Sam told her. Can I hold him? She asked in a little voice. Chioma carefully transferred Kai into Hannah's arms, showed her how to support his head. Hannah looked down at her brother and smiled. The biggest, most genuine smile Sam had ever seen. Hi Kai. I'm your big sister. I'm going to teach you everything. How to walk. How to eat. How to build blocks. And when you're bigger, we'll play together every single day, she said happily, kissing his tiny hands, as Kia giggled at her with a warm smile. Sam wrapped his arm around Chioma. They watched their children together. The little girl he'd almost lost 2 years ago. The baby who'd survived a kidnapping before he was even born. And the woman who'd saved them all without even knowing it. Months turned into years. Kai grew. Started walking. Started talking. Hannah was always there for him like a big sister. Teaching him. Playing with him. Building elaborate block towers that Kai would knock down while giggling. She'd pretend to be upset, then rebuild them so he could do it again. On Kai's 2nd birthday, the whole family gathered in the garden. There was cake, balloons, the air filled with so much laughter. Sam stood back with folded arms and watched Chioma with both children. The way she smiled. The way she loved them without hesitation. Without reservation. She caught him staring and walked over. What are you thinking about again? She asked, wrapping her hand around his neck with a warm smile on her face. How you saved my daughter's life. And in return, I got to spend forever protecting yours. She kissed him. It was a soft, tender but sweet kiss. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what moment affected or got you emotional the most. What do you think about Sam's choice to risk everything? About Chioma's strength? About the family they built from tragedy to happiness? I want to hear from you. Because stories like this remind us that protection isn't just about keeping people safe from danger. It's about showing up every single day for them. That's what love means, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Thank you for staying until the end. And if you haven't watched part 1 of Chioma and Sam's story, check the description below or the pinned comment for the link. Don't miss how this all began. I love you all. See you in the next story.